So Maisir comes from the Arabic word yisr, which means ease. And actually, at the time before Islam, Maisir was a game, essentially a game that people would play, wherein a group of people would get together and they would buy a camel, and they would cut that camel up into different portions, and then they would put different arrows with different marks on them into different mugs. And then the group of people that bought that camel would choose a mug. And depending on the mark in the arrow, in the mug that they chose, they would either get more than their fair share of the camel, or less than their fair share, or nothing at all. This is what was referred to as Maisir. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, alcohol and gambling and sacrificing for idols and making decisions based on games of chance are all filth from the work of the devil. The devil wants to sow enmity amongst you and distract you from remembering Allah and from praying. So will you abstain from these filthy things? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us basically in this ayah the purpose of the prohibition of Maisir, and that is because Maisir sows enmity between people. It takes wealth from one party and it gives it to another party without a legitimate cause. And it also, one of the most dangerous behavioral addictions is gambling. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to this by saying that يَصُدُّكُمْ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَعَنِ الصَّلَاةِ. So we know in Islam, Salah is not just the physical act of praying, but it's also everything we do that is productive in the name of Allah is considered Salah. And when someone is addicted to gambling, they're addicted to something that is not productive. It's destructive to them and will prevent them from remembering Allah or praying to Allah. And the method of detection here is that the first thing you need to ask yourself is, does this activity that I am engaged in produce any value for society, any needed value for society? That's the first question you need to ask yourself. If the answer is no to the first question, that it doesn't create any needed societal value, the second question that you have to ask yourself is, am I risking something of material worth in hopes of gain? If the answer is no to the first question, and yes to the second question, then it's Maisir. If you're engaged in an activity that isn't producing any needed value for society, and you're risking something of material worth in hopes of enriching yourself while engaged in this activity that is creating no value, this is Maisir. So now, for the quiz. So based on these two questions that I mentioned, are raffle tickets a form of Maisir? You go into a place and they give you a raffle ticket and they say, you know what, if your number is called, you win a prize. Is that a form of Maisir?
But you're not paying for it.
Yeah, you're not paying for it. Exactly. Good job. The moment you pay for it, it's Maisir, because now you're risking something of material worth in hopes of gain. And this can become addictive. And when it is addictive, it's destructive. So many people, my dear brothers and sisters, so many people in this country are suffering from gambling addiction. And nowadays, it's so easy to gamble. And they've started infusing it even in the most subtle ways in games that people play. Like, there was this site, probably maybe some of the brothers may know this, where they would gamble on skins. Basically, they would. Okay, yeah. So I mean, you're not. That was at the tip of your tongue.
I know of it. I know.
Yeah. So. I mean, you're not in a casino. Your guard is down. You're not thinking about gambling, but they're getting people in that mindset of gambling, of risking things of material worth in hopes of gain, and while they're engaging in a activity that's completely non-productive, that doesn't produce any value for society. The second example that I want to challenge you with, so good job on the raffle tickets. The second question is insurance. Is insurance a form of Maisir? Go ahead, brother.
I'm saying no because you're buying a protective service.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And can't tell you how many think it's Maisir. Their argument is that you pay the premiums, right? And let's say you get in an accident, and because of that accident, they pay you a lot more than what you paid in premiums. So that's Maisir. You're receiving a lot more, and first of all, you're not playing a game. You're buying protection. Second of all, when people buy insurance, they don't. If I buy car insurance, I don't hope to get in a car accident. I'm not trying to enrich myself when I buy insurance. And sometimes or oftentimes when an insurance payout comes, you don't even touch the money. It just goes to whoever is providing the remedial service. And it's certainly not addictive to buy insurance. You know? And then ask yourself this question. I mean, a lot of people go bankrupt and experience financial hardship because they engage in gambling and are addicted to gambling. A lot of people do this. When was the last time you heard of someone experiencing financial hardship because they were addicted to buying insurance or because they had insurance? Isn't it the opposite? Don't people experience financial hardship because they don't have insurance when they needed it? So none of the elements of Maisir actually apply to insurance.